Hello, I'm just going to show you quickly what I did with your vocal track, just so you have an idea of the difference that it makes to working offline with vocal tracks. So I mentioned earlier that I use Audacity, and I'm just going to load just the vocal track. This is your original track, your recording for the full song, and this is what I ended up with after making some. No, that's not the one. This one. Okay, so the top one here, or the top two, you have left and right channels. So the top two are the original track, and the bottom two shows what I've done in regards to I've done some changes, and what I'll try and show you the changes that I did on the top one. So, but the bottom one, the bottom track shows what's called normalization, as well as some reverb, some compression, and some amplification in different parts where you had low volume. I just selected those areas and I amplified them, and that what you're basically trying to do is you're trying to get an even graph waveform, and you're trying to avoid all these peaks. Like at the moment with the published track, we still have a few peaks that that we could get rid of, but I think the track sounds fine as it is. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is in the original track, so the top two waveforms that you see here, there's some really high peaks, or spikes if you like, and that seems to be because you're not using a pop filter. So you may want to get I can't remember what it's called. It's one of those screen things, like a filter that you place in front of the microphone to avoid these kind of spikes which happen when you pronounce, for example, like the P sound, or I think there's some others as well. So there are some sounds that will they'll just smash the microphone membrane, and that's when you get these spikes. So you can do that, or you can just turn your microphone at an angle. I think I mentioned that there are a few videos. If you have a look online, you'll find that there is actually a way that you can place the microphone at an angle to avoid this kind of issue. Because if I need to remove this manually, it's gonna cause it's gonna create like a crack in the track, which may not be very noticeable, but for me it would be a little bit annoying. Others may not be able to hear it, but when you try to get rid of these things manually, it can cause issues. What I did do instead is I forgot to mention this in the beginning, I also applied some equalization. So I got rid of the low frequencies, and in doing that reduced the spike quite a lot. So we'll just have a quick listen to the first track. I'll just solo it. Oh, hang on, sorry, I've got the wrong output here. I'll try again.
Right now, he's probably slow dancing with a bleach blonde tramp, and she's probably getting frisky. Right now, he's probably buying her some.
Yeah, so probably that's where you hear that pop. Now let's listen to the edited track.
Right now, he's probably slow dancing with a bleach blonde tramp, and she's probably getting frisky. Right now, he's probably buying her some fruity little drink.
So we could still hear the pop. You could also hear that the track is a lot louder and there's some reverb, and the equalization that I applied also gets rid of it gets rid of low frequency pops, like spikes like you see here. So just I'm not going to be able to reproduce exactly what I did, but just to give you an idea how I normally do it is I start with normalization. So I can select the whole track, just like that. I just click here and then effect, normalize, and I usually set this to -1, but you can experiment with that. You can go as loud as 0. If you set it to 0, that means that's the maximum volume that you can get out of the track as it is now, without introducing any clipping. So this will increase the volume, and it will not introduce any clipping. And what it's doing, so what I did, you probably saw the waveform get a little bit bigger, so that already should give us a better volume. But what I also normally do, or what I normally do with vocal tracks that are dry, like the track you sent me, that's what we call a dry track. You probably already know that. Normally would add reverb, and I use a preset that comes with Audacity called Vocal 2, and that's under Manage, Factory Presets, Vocal 2, and now just click OK. Okay, couldn't really see much difference there, but it has applied some reverb to this track. The other thing that I did was some compression, effect, compressor, and the only thing that I change here is this threshold, and I set it to -20 decibels. I usually use this value for many tracks, also for instruments, but it seems to work well with both instruments and vocals. You can experiment with that. I wouldn't touch anything else, just the threshold, and make sure this checkbox is ticked. Make up gain for 0 dB after compressing, and then just click OK, and that kind of evens the signal a little bit better. It evens it out. Apart from that, what I did was I applied an equalizer preset, and that was equalizer graphic EQ. Yeah, and that's the profile that I set, so that's found under Manage, Factory Presets, and I used the low roll-off for speech. Then OK, look at those spikes, they're gone. Well, I mean, they're still there, but a lot of the spikes are gone or minimized, so they don't have such a big impact. And that's basically it. Let's have a quick listen.
Right now,
Oops, let's solo it.
right now, he's probably slow dancing with a bleach blonde tramp, and she's probably getting frisky. Right now.
Yeah, so that probably pop is gone completely, and the track still sounds fine. And apart from that, the other thing that I did is I just went in and I selected some of the low volume areas, and I just amplified them. I just went to Effects, Amplify, and I'm not sure about this, but I think what Audacity does, it just gives you this amplification value that you see at the top here. It will change depending on which section I highlight, and I think what it does is it tries to match it to the highest level. So that's basically all I did. So I didn't put that value there, that just comes up when I select that area, and we'll select another one in a moment. So just click OK, and then for example I went here, let's just zoom in a bit. I went here and I did the same thing, Effect, Amplify. See, it's a different value, so it doesn't need as much amplification as the other one, and it's probably because of this spike here. Okay, so my recording stopped there for a moment, but yeah, I was just saying that it, the Audacity can't automatically amplify this any further because of this spike here. So it's already hit the limit um, for the most volume that it can do without introducing any clipping. Okay, um, so I basically just did that in different parts, like some of the really low volume parts. I just I didn't accept the value that Audacity suggested because I think that would just be too much. So if I say effects amplify, it's suggesting a 17 decibel amplification, and I think that's too much. So then you're going to go from a quiet part to a really loud part. You just want to keep changes a little bit more subtle. So instead, I just went for a few decibels of amplification. In this case, I probably would have gone for something like 3 decibels, for example. I just want to try to make it the same, yeah, like this, the same kind of thickness as the rest of the graph just before it, the waveform. We can go even as far as this, because if I don't amplify this, you're just not going to hear it. It'll just get drowned out by the rest of the instruments. So I'll probably go for something like that. Maybe a little bit more even, but you get the idea. So if we listen to that section,
Maybe next time he'll think before he cheats.
so that kind of keeps your volume, your vocals are fairly even when you've gone kind of quiet on the vocals, but we still want to hear them, and that's basically what I do. So there you can see that the waveforms are fairly similar. You can see that I obviously did some, pretty big amplification right at the end when you're kind of whispering almost. That just couldn't be heard with all the other instruments around it. So yeah, I just highlighted those areas and I amplify them, and yeah, that's kind of what I do. It takes a while, but that's how I do it in Audacity. I know there are other programs that you can use. I haven't tried them. I think I might search for one that somebody mentioned to me recently. I haven't looked into it, but I'll send it to you in the message that I'm going to write to you. So I don't know if you want to try something else, but if you try Audacity, it's a free program. But yeah, there's a lot of things that it can do. You just need some time to figure out how to do all this. And there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube on how to do all this. So there you go.